Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to At the Book for Thursday, May the 26th, 2022. We are powered by Caesars Sportsbook. We're also sponsored by the Tulane Doctors. Tulane Doctors going to make it so that we can't see myself or Devin up there.
Oh, much better. It looks much better
here,
with
I
YouTube
promise.
mugs
We're
up
back
there.
Here. But we do appreciate everything from the Tulane Doctors. I wonder if we should just change the view, Devin. You think so? I don't know if there's anything. Maybe just one of us is. I don't know what to do. It's a little better.
We're live, boys.
But anyway, we are live here. We're brought to you by the Tulane Doctors and Caesars Sportsbook. Zach Ewing, along with a full house crew today: Devin Jackson, Spencer the Guru, and Jim Derry, to talk a little bit of everything. And we welcome your comments. We'll talk to you as we go through. Hi, Uncle Big Nick. He's having a good day at the Charles Schwab Challenge. We'll talk a little golf later. Hi, Hassan. Thanks for checking in. The New Orleans Saints started OTAs today, off-season training activities, and or organized team activities. It is, right? They're totally voluntary. Some guys don't show up, but some guys do, and Jameis Winston was there, and we saw him in action for the first time since last Halloween when he tore his ACL against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So it's been less than 7 months, so it's a pretty good sign, I'd say, that he opted into OTAs and is out there playing, Jim.
We talk about on Datitude tomorrow, which part of it was recorded today. So, but we get into the whole Jameis Winston in, Michael Thomas out. Man, if you really would think that Michael Thomas would be out there wanting to participate in this thing. So, but it is a positive that Jameis Winston's already participating in OTAs, and I think it would be a big surprise now that if he's not ready to go by the time preseason gets started, and then more specifically, by the time that the regular season starts, that will have been 11 months. I think, ACLs now they used to be 13, 14-month injuries. Now they're more like 9, 10-month injuries. So it's a great sign to see that Jameis is out there and wanting to be out there. So it's exciting to see that.
Yeah, and I mean, just to clarify what you said, Jim, Michael Thomas is there. He's not participating. He was like on the sideline.
Yeah,
and
I
so
should have been more specific.
It is. I mean, it is not a good sign that he's not ready to participate with his ankle. It is a good sign, I would say, that he's there, and willing to participate and willing to put the time in, because there have been questions about his attitude at times and about his availability throughout this process. So, as Anthony says, Saints team going to be lethal. I mean, look, we've all talked about this. They have a chance to be lethal. And before we get into that, I do want to say again that we're brought to you by Tulane Doctors. Innovative research, inspired patient care. Visit TulaneDoctors.com. And here's your futures odds. These have only moved a little bit since we talked about them last. The top three here at Caesars Sportsbook are all the same: 50-1 for the Super Bowl,
Actually,
20-1.
That juice on the win total has moved quite a bit.
See, I'm getting there. The top three are the same, and then the bottom two, the juice on the playoffs has moved a little bit. I think it was plus 170 for yes. Now it's plus 160. But you're right, Jim. I mean, the win total not only has it moved up from 7.5 to 8, but it's now juiced up to minus 130 over 8. So we may even see that move to 8.5 by the time the preseason rolls around.
I think it'd be a shock if it doesn't move to 8.5. The speed, and I've been trying to keep a chart of it and what days, and at some point in the near future, I will be putting a blog up on that. But I think that it would be a big surprise at this point not to see it move to 8.5, maybe within the next couple of weeks, which is scary because it means that everybody's betting on the over, which is fine. I don't like going with the public, but talked about it before that. Go back, and 2 years ago at the same time, Tampa Bay was was a over under of 8.5 wins, and with Tom Brady in the mix, and they won the Super Bowl. So the public sometimes is right. I don't always fade the public, but I don't see how this team doesn't have a winning season, barring injuries.
Yeah, I was a little surprised.
Go ahead,
I was
Devin.
going to say, I was a little surprised going through each game because Caesars Sportsbook released the odds for all 17 games for across the NFL. Saints are only favored in 6 of those games, and 4 of them were against the Panthers and Falcons. So I was a little surprised, just the low win total to start off. It was at 7. I was up to 8. But, I mean, even when you go game by game, I mean, there's 2 even and then 6, games that are favored. So it's very interesting to see, kind of it's changing a little bit. But, I mean, even if you go game by game, they're still thinking they're going to hit around 7 or 8 wins for the season.
Yeah, and I mean, that's not a perfect way to do this because obviously they've got a better chance to win a game where they're 3-point underdogs than they do to lose a game where they're 6-point favorites. So you're playing the percentages there and not just, okay, are they expected to win or not? We talked about this in the Eastern Conference Finals, which we'll talk NBA playoffs in a minute, that even though the Heat was favored to win its games at home, Boston was favored to win the series because there was just a better chance Boston was going to nip some of those games in Miami than vice versa, and that's so far what we've seen happen. So, but anyway, Spencer, it is a difficult schedule for the Saints. I mean, I think it is going to help them. We've talked about this. It's a really difficult schedule in the middle of the season. They've got to get off to a fast start, so it's got to be a positive sign that Jameis Winston's out there for OTAs.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Zach. I mean, yeah, I think they'll be able to pull off some games that they're underdogs. Yeah, I know that Devin has said they're only favored in 6 games, which you're like, man, it's a tough schedule, which it is. It's a very tough schedule, but this Saints team, I believe, will be able to pull off at least 2 or 3 upsets along the way, which would put their win total above that 8-win mark. It'll probably be 8.5 when it's all said and done before the season, maybe even 9 because of the way the public seems to be going toward that over, and rightfully so with the way things are looking. Jameis only looking better. Michael Thomas should be back out there hopefully in the next month or 2. So with a fully healthy Saints team is a contender. There's no denying it, and so their futures odds there look pretty appealing, I'd say.
And Jim, maybe you can speak to this. I feel like in the past, and maybe things have changed because sports books are so much more prolific around the country, and you can get to these win totals more easily. Caesars advertises them when they put them out. We talk about them. A lot of other people do. But in the past, typically that early movement on win totals and futures bets in May, that's going to be sharp money. I mean, the public's not out there in May betting NFL win totals. They're doing it later on.
You know what else the Sharps are doing? They're betting game by game right now because the Sharps that I listen to, they all talk about preseason numbers and compare what the value is. And I think if you have the bankroll to do it, it's not a bad time to go bet on. Maybe you don't bet on all 17 games. Maybe you pick and choose the ones where they're underdogs and you think there's value in getting them, and I'd have to go through them. Maybe you don't bet the Carolina and Atlanta games because we don't know how bad they're going to be, although we think they're going to be pretty bad. But, it's a perfect time to go in there and pick and choose. Again, maybe you put $40, $50 on pick 8 games where there's a great number and bet on them now because you're not going to get that same value come later on in the season. You're certainly not going to get the value. If they're as good as we think they are, you're not going to get that value when you get the week of the game, which is when most people bet. So maybe it's a good time to do a little story on that and pick 7 or 8 games that we like, and now's the time to bet them. Like, Minnesota, for example. Minnesota, I think, and Saints are basically even, Devin, I believe that's what they were. But, if the Saints start out hot, and I think actually Minnesota is going to be better than people think they are, but maybe that spread is -3 Saints, and you get a 3-point value now. So I'm just bringing that one up as a matter of fact. But there are other games as well. Maybe Vegas it's time to bet Vegas now. You look at some of the games on the road. There are games to be bet now.
Yeah, I think too. You look at is there a game where a team is coming across a couple of time zones to play the Saints, or they have short rest because they they played Monday night the week before. Spots like that. I mean, sometimes the lines are set with that baked in, but sometimes they're not. And it's a spot where if you do value the Saints, you can grab that now. And as the line moves throughout the season, you'll end up with a lot of points in your favor.
Yeah, not just the Saints, Zach. I mean, there are other teams that you look at. If you have a model and you're going through, and there are some teams that you think that you're getting great value on, now is not a bad time to go through and look game by game and pick out the ones you really like. Maybe put a little bit on it, because you're not going to get this kind of value. If you're right, you're not going to get this value in 3 months from now.
Absolutely. All right, you're watching At the Book, brought to you by Caesars Sportsbook. I'd like to say, if you would like to bet on some of these Saints futures or any other NFL futures, and you don't have a Caesars account yet, go ahead and get one. Great time to do it. Your first bet insured up to $1,100. Go to NOLA.com/Caesars today, and that's just for our listeners. NOLA.com/Caesars, or if you just go to the App Store, use promo code NOLACZR, and you can get that first bet. You take a swing at something, you hit it, great. You doubled your money, or almost doubled your money. If you don't hit it, you get another chance at it. So it's that is the deal right now. So we'll switch gears here and talk some NBA playoffs, starting with last night's game. What was it? Game 5 in the Eastern Conference Finals between the Celtics and the Heat. And quite frankly, guys, for the second straight game, Miami could not score. I mean, they couldn't shoot. They were turning the ball over. I think they had 82 points on Monday night in game 4. They had 80 points, and they were frankly lucky to get to 80 points last night.
Yeah, Tyler Herro's absence was really felt. I mean, without him there, they just can't get much going offensively. And Jimmy Butler's just not in his zone right now. He's cooled off a ton. Kyle Lowry's looking over the hill. It just didn't happen for the Heat. I mean, this series it's over. Let's be real. I mean, the Celtics locked them down, and they just didn't have any answers.
The only thing I'll say in the Heat's favor, and Devin, I'd be curious your take, is it kind of felt like this after game 2. The Celtics, they beat Miami in game 2. They evened the series. Oh, they're going back home. They're going to take control of the series. And then they laid a huge goose egg in game 3. Turned the ball over 24 times, shot like crap. They got back into the game in the fourth quarter, but it was kind of too little too late. So, if Boston relaxes, Miami's the kind of team that can make you pay for that.
Yeah, Boston's going to have to come out and be ready to play in game 6, and they're going to get Miami's best shot. It's not going to be one of those games where, Boston comes out and dominates from the get-go. Miami is a well-coached team. They've been in this position before, and they've been to the finals a couple years ago. So Boston, like they couldn't do against the Bucks last series, they're going to have to close this team out because – being Miami, 3 times on the road in the series, that's going to be tough to do. So if you're Boston, you got to be ready for Miami's best punch. And honestly, I think this is a game where Jason Tatum is going to have to kind of elevate them like he did against the Bucks. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But Miami's certainly going to be ready to play, and they can't play any worse than they did in game 5.
Yeah, I mean, I said on Monday's show on Bayou Bets, I said I would bet if I didn't already have a bunch of money on the Celtics, I would bet them to win this series in 6 games. I think it was plus 260 at the time. And my thinking was I felt strongly they would win game 4. And, game 6 is at home. And so really you're getting plus 260 odds on the fact that they could win game 5 in Miami. And now they have. And so I like that bet. Having said that, I do feel like this is kind of like game 7. I mean, you have to win this game if you're Boston. Like you said, Devin, you don't want to lose this game. They've proven they can win in Miami. You don't want to have to win a 3rd game in Miami and have it be game 7.
Yep, yeah, they're going to have to handle business at the Garden, which I think they will. Miami's definitely going to put up a fight. They're a tough team, like Devin mentioned, but they definitely going to need Tyler Hero back if they want to be able to pull it off, because he's the 6th man of the year for a reason. He's a dynamic scorer. In his absence, I mean, it just don't have enough offense to complement Jimmy Butler. So unless he comes back, I don't see much hope for him.
And listen, Jason Tatum has not played well in this series. To your point, Devin, he really hasn't. So if he shows up, Boston could really roll in game 6. In the other series,
Go.
I'm sorry, Devin, just switching over to the Western Conference Finals tonight, they continue with Game 5 in San Francisco. Golden State, a 6.5-point favorite over the Dallas Mavericks, lead the series 3-1. And Devin, you just uncovered up in Bossier City, somebody laid some big money on the Mavs, and there have been a couple of big bets on the Mavs to come back in this series. I don't know that's a high percentage bet, but it may be maybe a better chance than the odds suggest. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like you said, I just saw, from Caesars Sportsbook that someone put 80,000 on, the Mavericks to cover tonight. I think they got it at +7. All those 6.5 right here on the screen, plus their money line to win along with the Miami Heat. But I don't know, man. The Mavericks, they did a great job in Game 4, not getting swept, but Golden State has a chance to go back to the finals. They have a home game tonight, and we know how crazy that arena gets when Golden State is in the playoffs. So I would be very surprised if the Mavericks won tonight, just based on Steph and Clay and Dre. They all been in this position before, and they've been able to close out before. So it's going to take not only Luka Doncic, having a fantastic game, but they're going to need the other people around him to also play well. So I'd be very surprised if they won tonight, but you never know. I mean, these NBA playoffs have told us that, even when you think you know everything, you didn't. And I mean, the Mavericks just pulled themselves out of a 2-0 hole against the Phoenix Suns, but this is a little bit of a different situation, obviously. So I'd be very surprised if they won tonight.
Jim, I know you're on Golden State tonight as well.
Yeah, I don't want to steal the thunder from our daily best bets, but, for the most part, it's been bet the unpredictable, right? I mean, for a lot of these playoffs, it's kind of aiding the public has really worked in this series. I don't think it works here. It's the one of the rare times where I am going to go with the public, and I do think that Golden State's going to win big tonight. I think the Mavericks, like Devin said, they just aren't getting enough. Luka's not getting enough help. Brunson had a little output in Game 4 that really kind of helped propel this team, but they're really not. I think when Golden State goes home tonight and they don't have enough inside play, I think that Golden State's going to be banging on them, and it kind of all depend on how much the refs want to let them go. But I kind of want to go back to the first series real quick, and I'm not going to harp on it, but this series is not over. I mean, the Celtics have shown that they can go in the tank as fast as anyone. And the Heat aren't just going to roll over and die. So to say that it's over, I think there's value to be bet on. You could that's $650 to me. There's value there. I'm not saying go bet a mortgage payment on or anything, but this series is not over. And I certainly think the Heat can win this game. And I know I'm not doing best bets tomorrow, but I love the Heat with the spread. And already the sharp money has come in on the Heat. The sharp money is going to be on the Heat. The public's Joe Q public is going to be all over the Celtics, which is going to keep this line somewhere around 8 by the time they tip off. But it started at 9. It's 8.5 already. I think it goes to 8 before it stabilizes, and I think now's a great time to bet on the Heat, and I certainly like plus 650.
Yeah, I mean, and Devin mentioned that parlay. Part of it was the Heat to win Game 6, and again, if they win Game 6, they get to go home for Game 7, right? I mean, they may not be favored in Game 7, but it'll be something close to even money, and so you're getting quite a bit of value on them in Game 6. Now it's going to be a big ask. I do think 8.5 points is too many because it feels like that series will finally produce a close game. It just kind of feels that way, and I don't know who wins it, but I do think 8.5 points is too many. Showed you the series prices just a minute ago. The NBA Finals start a week from tonight. And so if the favorites do win the next 2 nights, we'll go almost a week with no basketball. It'll be, I guess, Game 6 in Boston tomorrow, and then no games until Thursday, June the 2nd. So and by the way, if Golden State does finish off Dallas, I think we had this wrong last week. They get home court against either of the Eastern Conference teams. It's not done by seed. Once you get to the finals, it's done by record. Just looked that up this morning. So Golden State would have home court, which to me makes this slide make a little bit more sense, because I've been saying all week I don't see how Golden State could be favored over Boston. If they have home court, I buy that a little bit more. I think Golden State with home court, I still think minus 150 is too heavy, but I could see it a little bit more, guys.
Rose-colored glasses. They're head and shoulders better than the Celtics. I know I'm in the minority here. I don't even think it's a long series. I think it's a 5-game series. Golden State is that much better than Boston, and there's no value. I'm not betting at minus 150. I'm certainly not betting the Celtics. I wouldn't bet the Celtics plus 200. I just don't think they can match up. I do think they're going to win the series. I think it's going to be a close game with the Heat. I do believe there's value in the Heat, like I said, because who knows? It could get weird tomorrow. But I think Golden State is head and shoulders. I think they're playing like they're on a mission. They do their games where they kind of disappear, and they'll have 1 or 2 of those. It might go 6, but I would not touch the Celtics. I mean, I hope you win your money. I don't have a future on either one of them.
I vehemently disagree, and I know this doesn't surprise anybody. I would be stunned beyond belief if Boston did not at least push that series to 6 games. Stunned. Because frankly, Golden State, and I mean, you harp on this, Jim, the Yankees, the Lakers, these teams, they have risen to that. The Cowboys have done this in the past, where the odds get shifted in their favor just because of what they've done in the past. This is not the same team. They've had a fairly smooth ride through the Western Conference playoffs. It's pretty close with a lot older players, and Klay Thompson's had an Achilles, and he's not the same defensively that he used to be. I just, and again, one of us is going to be wrong, and it could easily be me. They got the Nuggets without Jamal Murray. They got the Grizzlies without Ja Morant. They're getting Dallas instead of Phoenix. Like, credit them. They've played well. I'm not saying they haven't, and they're a good team. They haven't faced anybody as good as Boston. And these series are getting pushed to 6 games anyway. I thought they beat Denver in 5, beat Memphis in
Dallas
6. We'll see what happens tonight. But my other point would be, and Spencer, I'll let you chime in on this too. The metrics completely disagree with you that Golden State is much better than Boston. If you look at any metric, any efficiency metric throughout the NBA, Boston's a better team than Golden State. They just are. Now, could you say Golden State's got a playoff pedigree and they're going to up their game? And yeah, I mean, it could happen, but you can't sit here and say that through 100 games or 98 games, whatever these teams have played so far, that Golden State has been better, because they haven't been.
Yeah, I mean, for the season, Boston is probably slightly better. But I mean, this is postseason basketball, is a different animal, and Boston's been pretty solid, but they've also had like a lot of stinkers. I know Golden State's had a few stinkers mixed in, but they've had so much upside to where it's like I feel good about them going all the way because they have so much experience, so many shooters. Or Boston, it's like outside of Tatum and Jaylen Brown, they don't have a whole lot of guys that I trust. And then with Tatum, it's like he's been a little inconsistent himself. So, I mean, Boston's not bad, but I think Jim is kind of slandering them there, especially with saying that the Dallas. I mean, come on, Boston's definitely better than Dallas. But for the finals, I would have to go with Golden State because I just feel like they've just got a lot more firepower.
Devin, voice of reason, save us.
This one's a tough one because I can see both sides, potentially winning. But for me, I kind of like Boston in this scenario. And I know Golden State is, have Steph Curry, have Klay Thompson. But, when it ultimately comes down to is 2 things for me, and it's defense and turnovers. The Warriors and the Celtics have been a victim of this too in this series. But the Warriors have not taken care of the basketball this postseason, and they've been careless with the basketball. And obviously they can have those avalanche runs that, are just impossible to stop. But when I look at both teams overall, I like Boston's depth. I like their ability to go deep in their bench. I feel like in a tight game, Golden State kind of shrinks their bench. And I think I trust Jaylen Brown a little bit more than Jordan Poole because Poole has really cooled off since that first playoff series over the last couple rounds. So I think when it comes down to matchups, I just like Boston's matchup, and I like their others compared to the main stars. Obviously, Steph Curry and Jason Tatum. I think I like Boston's stars depth a little bit more in how consistent they are defensively compared to Golden State.
Jordan Poole and Jaylen Brown, not even a contest defensively either. But and another thing I'd like to point out is, like, if you look at the games the Celtics have lost in the playoffs, they lost game 1 to Milwaukee by 12. That was the game where Giannis threw the alley-oop to himself and just completely dominated the second half of that game. So that was the one they lost by 12. They also lost game 1 to Miami by 11. Had the real bad second half in that game. Their other playoff losses are by 2 to Milwaukee, and by 3 to Milwaukee, and by 6 to Miami. Now, their playoff wins, they had 4 close wins against Brooklyn, but then they beat Milwaukee by 23, by 8, by 13, by 28, and then they beat Miami by 25, 20, and 13. Nobody else is doing that. I mean, you've got to be a good team to blow teams out in the playoffs like that. So,
what's your read off the Golden State ledger?
Yeah, the Golden State's blown out a lot of people too.
I mean, that's not a factual statement, Zach. Here's the thing: when it comes down to it, Golden State, when they play above average or better, okay, just say average or better, they can't be beat. No one can beat them. If they play average or better, they can't be beat. If they play less than average, they usually get blown out. I mean, because they don't show up half the time. But I don't know what it is about the game. Every third or fourth game, they just don't show up. So that's why I don't think they're going to get swept. And, yeah, it could go 6 games. It wouldn't surprise me if it goes 6, but it would surprise me if it goes 7 because I honestly believe – I mean, I know Boston's defense is better than any defense that Golden State has played since the regular season. There's no question that that's true. But it doesn't matter because they throw it all over the place. They know how to play inside, outside. It doesn't make a difference. I just don't see any team that – is going to match up with them in a 7-game series right now. I didn't think I thought the Suns could have matched up well with them. We'll never know in a 7-game series. But I just don't know that there's a team in the East. Well, there's only 2 left. Boston's probably got the best chance of anyone on that side to beat them. If you threw them all back in the mix, Boston's probably the best chance to beat them because they are more balanced and they play such great defense. But I just don't think it matters when you talk about Golden State because when they play average or better, they don't lose.
Just in the interest of fairness, and because you asked me to, Jim, Golden State's wins by 16, 20, 5, and 4 against Denver, against Memphis by 1, 30, 3, and 14. And then against Dallas by 25 and by 9 and 9 again. So yes, they have had some blowouts, and I'm not saying they're not a good team. They have not had as many blowouts as Boston, and they've had probably more to my point. They've had some games where they've gotten their teeth kicked in, and Boston really has not. So, their losses by, they lost by 5 to Denver, by 5 to Memphis, then the one game against Memphis by 39, and then by 10 the other night against Dallas. So,
yeah, I think people kind of they pointed at that 39 against Memphis and kind of freak out, which I know it was a horrible, embarrassing showing, but that was just one night. Overall, this Warriors team is they're scary, man. They're scary. I know Boston's got a great defense, which is why before the show, like I was telling you, I'm really looking forward to a potential Warriors Celtics finals. Then we get to see that great Boston defense against the great Warriors shooting. So it's going to be interesting to see who prevails.
And I think the fact that we disagree here, that Jim is easily on Golden State's side, I'm easily on Boston's side, and I think, Spencer, you're probably slightly on Golden State's side, and Devin, it sounds like you're slightly on Boston's side. So we kind of have this split, and that goes to show you it should be a good series. And that's the bottom line. So it'll start a week from tonight, and I suppose before then there could be a surprise. Lots of big bets coming in on Dallas and Miami to pull upsets before we get there. Now, I don't think you'd call that likely, but there are some people willing to put some money on the line. So Let's move on here on At the Book, brought to you by Caesars Sportsbook and Tulane Doctors. Lots of other stuff going on around the sports world, by the way. You want to shift gears. It's a huge weekend, of course, as Memorial Day weekend is every year in auto
Pardon
racing.
the
And
pun. Shift gears. Pardon the pun.
Yeah. Well, oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, there you go. Indy 500, Spencer, Sunday morning at the Brickyard in Indy. And a lot of familiar names up here, but also some guys that, frankly, if you don't follow IndyCar, you've probably never heard of near the top of this list.
Yeah, most definitely, Zach. This Indy 500 field, very interesting because it's like a clash. It's like a generational clash between the old guard guys, like Scott Dixon, Elio Castroneves, Tony Kanaan. I'm surprised Elio didn't favorite higher. He's the 4-time winner. He's trying to go for a record-setting 5th. He's a great value to me at plus 2,500. But yeah, you got the veterans like them. And then the new guys, they got a lot of new guys up there like Alex Palou, Pato Award, Renus VK. So it's going to be an interesting mix. Just off of this list right here, I probably would say fade the 3 favorites. I mean, Dixon, Palou, and Award could all win, but I don't really like the values there. Where like Joseph Newgarden, I think it's a good value there at 10-1, Renus VK at 12-1. Because I feel like they're right up there with the favorites, and it's just more value to be had there with those guys. And then Takuma Sato, another veteran that I like there at 14-1. He's a 2-time winner. He's with a new team this year. He's the kind of guy, no matter who he drives for, he always finds a way to the front at Indy. He's just a great driver here. And then Jimmy Johnson, very interesting at 16-1, 7-time NASCAR champion, transitioning to IndyCar. It'll be his first Indy 500. I'm personally fading him, though, because I feel like his odds are up way too high because of being the name recognition. Everyone knows Jimmy Johnson. So being an Indy 500 rookie, I just don't see any value there.
Anybody else have a take here? Because I don't. I mean, I know like there's some familiar names, but unless you keep up with the teams and the cars and things like that, it's kind of like betting on the Kentucky Derby. You do it because it's the Indy 500, but you got to keep up with it to have a good read here.
I'm betting on a guy. I mean, how can you not bet on a guy named Renus? I mean, Renus VK. What a name! I mean, when I don't know something about sports, I'm picking my favorite name, and that is my favorite name. I'm betting on Renus. I'm going to make a bet. I'm telling you when I get off, just like I bet on Sinner the other day in tennis, who's still winning in the French Open. I'm going on Renus. And, Jimmy Johnson's transition from coaching the Cowboys and working on Fox to in the Indy 500. I mean, he's a little old to be driving, isn't he, Spencer?
Yeah.
And in between, he won 7 NASCAR Cup championships?
Oh, yeah, and he was really good at Indy while in NASCAR because NASCAR races here too, and he won the Brickyard 400 several times. So he'll be a threat. He's in a good car with Chip Ganassi Racing, but I think he just doesn't have much value there. But yeah, Renus there 12-1. He drives for a really good team, Ed Carpenter Racing. So I definitely keep an eye on him. And I have some like real long shots for y'all that could possibly pop all there. Graham Rahal at plus 5,000, I think could do well because he's a veteran that's come close a lot of times, but has yet to get it done. He's deep in the field.
Where's my phone? I gotta find it. Here.
Could maybe be his year.
Spence.
And also Juan Pablo Montoya, I believe he's at plus 10,000 there. But I think JPM, as they call him, could do pretty well. He's deep. That's another thing with the qualifying. These guys that start deep in the field tend to be good values because it's not real hard to pass at Indy. I mean, it's fairly tough, but it's not super hard to pass. It's not like a road course. So if you start in the back, it's not necessarily a death sentence. So Montoya is a 2-time Indy winner and is driving for a good team, Arrow McLaren SP, which is the team Pato Award drives for, one of the favorites. So there's definitely value to be had with him. And in the last long shot, I would say via Santino Ferrucci at 125-1 driving for. He's qualified up front. I'm surprised his odds are that high. And he drives for a team that focuses solely on the Indy 500, Dreyer and Reinbold Racing. This is what they do there. They run one race a year, and it's the Indy 500, and they've shown speed. So I feel like at those odds, why not take a shot?
By the way,
You got to lift that name up.
I'm completely joking when I joke about Jimmy Johnson. Even I know that Jimmy Johnson is a fantastic race car driver and will be I'm assuming he'll be in the NASCAR Hall of Fame at some point.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Yeah,
might be already. Those guys go in. Those guys go in while they're still active. I think he might already.
Even that was, by the way, the auto racing fans out there. I'm not a complete idiot. I know that Jimmy Johnson is a fantastic racer. That was a joke.
Speaking of NASCAR, and by the way, Spencer, that fantastic names, but you gotta really buy into that one. Santino Ferrucci. We got to have the Italian. The Italian stallion win that race. That is very interesting though that they're all in on Indy, and so we'll see what happens there. But speaking of NASCAR, after the Indy 500 is over on Sunday, guys in the past have flown from Indianapolis to Charlotte to run in the Coca-Cola 600. I don't think we have anybody doing that this year, but this is one of the bigger NASCAR races on the circuit as well.
Yeah, definitely. The two favorites here, Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch, have talked about doing that in the past, but it's just so tough to do. I know Tony Stewart pulled it off back in the day, but it's really tough. I think the most recent guy to do it was Kurt Busch back a few years ago. But yeah, as far as the Coke 600, this is a war of attrition, man. This is the longest NASCAR race on the schedule of 600 miles. It's going to go on forever.
600 miles.
Oh yeah, it's usually over 5 hours long. It's a marathon. I somehow watch it. It's tough. It's tough to stay focused on it for that long. But I'm a racing degenerate, so I usually can. But they had the two Kyles.
You know what would be impressive for these dudes to win 600 miles? Put my kids in the back seat. Let them ride 600 miles like I have to do every summer. And then we'll see if they can win an NASCAR race. That would be impressive.
Yeah. This is which is why for this one I'm tending to lean more toward the veterans, the guys with experience, because they're the ones that they've done this for several years and know how to play it. With 600 miles, it's hard to adjust to that. Being they only do it once a year. So among the favorites, I probably like Kyle Busch the most. He's really good at 1.5 mile tracks. The Charlotte Motor Speedway, where they run this thing, it's a 1.5 mile intermediate, and that's been Kyle's bread and butter this season especially, and so I like him there at plus 650. I also like his teammate Martin Truex Jr. at plus 950. That's a little odd boost from Caesars, and I liked it for the All-Star race. Ryan Blaney was a little odds boost, and he ended up winning that one, and so I think it could go 2 in a row with the odds boost guys there with Truex, because he's a former winner of this race and experienced veteran, knows how to get it done. And, there are some young guys to watch too, maybe like Tyler Reddick, a guy that, still looking for his first win, could maybe pull it off. But I would tend to go with the more experienced veterans. And Kevin Harvick, I feel like offers a lot of value as a veteran who I believe, he's a former winner in this race. He's at like plus 3,000, I think. So I think there's a lot of value to be had with him.
Bakersfield, stand up. Devin, who do you like in the NASCAR race? You've been following quite a bit of NASCAR this year.
Yeah, let me pull back up the odds here. I like Chase Elliott plus 750. I feel like over the course of the season, he's always finding himself in the top 5, top 10 finishes. So I like his odds at plus 750. Someone that's near the top that I think could end up winning it all. And I like some juice on Tyler Reddick. He's done well as well this season, and I think he could also be a nice play, a bit of a long shot. But, with this race going on, I feel like, once you get down to probably the last, 50, 60 laps, I think there's a chance for some of those guys maybe in the bottom half of the top 10 to make a move. And I think Reddick could be in position to do so.
All right, so there you have it. You can read Spencer's thoughts and his picks on the Indy 500 today at bet.NOLA.com. That was just posted. And Coca-Cola 600 write-up coming tomorrow morning, correct, Spencer?
Correct. Yeah. I mean, another cool thing with these races, because it's all the Indy 500 is the longest Indy car race. A lot of strategies involved a lot of times with these, with fuel mileage and stuff. So teams can get creative and sometimes have an unexpected winner, which is why I like a lot of the long shots here, especially with the Indy 500.
1,100 miles of racing on Sunday. I think the most I've done in a day is like 1,000 on a road trip. So yeah, that's going to be a lot of driving on Sunday. But that's Memorial Day weekend for you. And look, the sports just don't stop. I had to show these because our 900 to 1 parlay is still alive. So, Jim, you still remember who we bet on here?
We bet on Stenner, Yannick Stenner, and what's her name on the other side? You got to show me the other odds. Amanda Anisimova, who is gone from 25 or 2,200 maybe to 1,400. I like it.
That was my actual pick, by the way, when we talked about this on Monday. Sinner, you just threw in there because, well, for obvious reasons.
Yeah, well, I mean, he fits in with us.
But his odds actually have not shrunk that much because the favorites keep winning on the men's side. You have Novak Djokovic, Carlos Alcaraz. He had a scare yesterday, survived his second-round match. Rafael Nadal, Stefanos Tsitsipas had a scare today and survived in 4 sets. And so the favorites keep marching on the men's side. And on the women's side, we're going to have to get rid of Iga Swiatek if our pick Anisimova is going to hit the finish line.
Oh, well. Tsitsipas, that sounds like some bad bug bite you get outside during the summer in Louisiana. Got a little case of Tsitsipas.
Yeah, that does sound kind of nasty, doesn't it?
Yeah, you don't want to get that.
But I will say what was once like a 900 to 1 parlay is now like a 400 to 1 parlay. So we're moving in the right direction. My cash out option my cash out option on my $1 bet is still only 40 cents. So they haven't
only bet
gotten
$1?
to the point where, man, 900 to 1.
Come on, man.
If I hit that, I got $900 in the bank.
If I hit it, mine was 770 to 1, so I'll get $7,700.
Okay, well, you can buy dinner then.
Okay, I'll buy dinner for all 4 of you. Nick's not coming.
Take that, Nick. No, what did Nick say earlier? I enjoy this dad joke so much. Going back to the NBA playoffs, we missed that at the time.
Yeah, but he jokes about me being old. He's got like the old man jokes that he thinks are funny.
I am a dad joke aficionado, man. I'm here for it.
Well, my wife has rolled her eyes so much I don't even try them anymore. She just makes me feel dumb. So.
And then the last slide we have is the Charles Schwab Challenge. Uh-oh.
Yeah, Scotty's had a really good day. I believe that he was 4 under today. The leader is the last I look. And as I look right now, there are 2 people at 5 under, 2 players at 5 under. You can't get any value on. We told you Scheffler, you needed him to have kind of an average day. I really liked Kevin Na coming in. Still maybe a little bit of value on him. Patrick Reed, is he going to have a great tournament? I don't know. But Victor Hovland didn't play very well today, so maybe there's value there at 2,200. Not that far off. And Morikawa, he shot even today. He at plus 2,800. I think there's value there. So might want to jump on that. Justin Thomas had a bad day, and Zalatoris is kind of like all over the place.
And by the way, Taylor there at 40 to 1 is one of the 2 players in the lead. The higher ranked of the 2, the other is Martin Traynor. And these odds, this odds board is about an hour old, so this is updated a little bit. Nick Taylor is now 28 to 1. Morikawa is still 28 to 1. Let's see what else we have. Spieth is now 8 to 1. Yeah, and Victor Hovland's price has gone up. Actually, you can get him at 40 to 1 now. So he's having a bad second 9.
Yeah, I was just looking at the leaderboard. We was on the screen. Still got 2 at 5 under. It's early. I mean, I would kind of wait, and this is when I like to play the favorites that have an average day or a little below average. Like I said, a Morikawa, who was 1,100 to 1,200 to start, and now he's 2,800. I mean, he's only going to be 5 or 6 shots back, which doesn't really mean much after 1. You just need to make the cut. let them have a good day tomorrow, you won't get those same numbers.
Yep. A couple of other things before we go. As I said, a very busy sports weekend. You got the New Orleans Breakers. They play on Saturday, and they play the Michigan Panthers. New Orleans, a 6-point favorite in that one. Also have the SEC baseball tournament. LSU is a -190 favorite against Kentucky. That game is they're actually supposed to play tonight. They're the third game of the day. The first game's in like the fifth inning, and so LSU and Kentucky may play like 10 o'clock tonight. Maybe by the time it's over, you could wake up and watch Anissa Mova at 4 a.m. in the French Open, Jim.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'm gonna set my alarm and get up there, and then right when she's done, the PGA tournament will start back up. I'll just stay up all night.
There you go. And also on Saturday, listen, the Super Bowl for the rest of the world is on Saturday. The UEFA Champions League final between Real Madrid and Liverpool. And so the odds on that one, after 90 minutes, Liverpool +104, Real Madrid +245, and a draw is +270. Anybody tuning into that one besides me? No?
No,
Silence?
I think I'll pass.
You guys are uncultured.
You had a nice parlay last weekend, but I don't think I can get up early and watch it.
No. 2 o'clock in the afternoon. 2 o'clock.
Oh.
Not bad. Yeah. And I think that's on CBS. So Champions League final on Saturday, the Super Bowl for everybody else, the highest level club soccer match in the world. So that'll be fun too. Liverpool and Real Madrid.
Who's Tom Brady?
Final thoughts, guys. Who's Tom Brady? Well, he is going to play in Bayern Munich Stadium in November against the Seahawks.
That's right.
So,
that's right.
He's going to get his soccer on as well. Spencer the Guru, your final thought on this Thursday at the book.
All right, yeah, just really excited for Sunday, and it was 1,100 miles of racing. I can't wait for that. And then it's just, we're gonna be interested. I'm gonna have to play some of those Indy drivers because there's so much value to be had there, and there's hope one of them can get the right strategy and get it done. And I'm also to throw in some fantasy football talk. I'm currently in a startup dynasty slow draft right now. And an interesting note from that is that Chris Olave, which I know it's dynasty, so I figured he'd go before Michael Thomas, but Chris Olave is gone. He went in the 6th round, and we're 8 rounds in now, and Michael Thomas still on the board.
Yeah, I don't see how you could take Michael Thomas in a dynasty until you see him play. I mean, maybe real late, but who knows if he's going to be effective. I mean, it's been more than a year since he's played. So, Devin, final thought from you.
Should be an interesting weekend of sports, and starts tonight. See if the Mavericks can extend their series. The two bettors are hoping that the Mavericks win tonight, or they're going to be losing a lot of money. I think like 130,000 combined between the two. So we'll see if they can stay alive in that aspect. But maybe we'll have the NBA Finals set by the end of the weekend, and we can start shifting towards that and keeping up with LSU baseball. They're starting to trend in the right direction here towards the end of the season. And if they ever get to play tonight, it'll be interesting to see how far they can go in the tournament.
Yeah, I think they've taken futures odds off on the SEC tournament. That thing's going to be a mess because the schedule has become so backloaded with the rain that some of the better teams may just say, we're gonna throw freshmen out there. We don't care, because they have the regional coming up in less than a week. And so if you don't have anything to play for as far as a regional seed. LSU, by the way, not one of those teams because they are playing to become a host. But like Saturday and Sunday, you could see, you could see some real young players finishing out that tournament. Jim Derry, your final thought.
Yeah, with all the stuff that's going on, I still find it interesting that what do people want to talk about? They want to talk about the Saints. I mean, even in May. So NBA playoffs, golf, all the huge auto racing weekend, SEC baseball tournament. We're still talking about the Saints, and we'll be talking about the Saints tomorrow on Datitude. I have as my guest the voice of the opening of Datitude, Phil Anselmo, the former lead singer of Pantera, who is a huge Saints fan. He just so happens to be my brother-in-law, and he is coming on to talk all Saints tomorrow. We're going to throw in a little boxing because he's also a correspondent for boxing news, I believe. He knows a whole ton of boxing. So something we've never talked about on Datitude, boxing. let's talk about it. We'll do that tomorrow. Tyson Fury comes up, the best pound for pound boxer, maybe in boxing. We'll talk about him, but it's gonna be a whole lot of Saints. About 85% Saints tomorrow in Datitude.
Is his entire appearance gonna be in the lead-in voice? Because that would be awesome.
That's the only voice he knows. So that's pretty cool, okay. Actually. Yeah, I mean, that's who he is.
You got to listen just for that.
It's fun to go. Sunday dinners, they're fun every now and then, when you get to talk to him about the Saints and get him fired up. But yeah, that voice for 30 minutes is pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's worth listening just by itself.
It is.
My final thought, I will say this. I'm going to double down on the Celtics, boys. I got plus 150. I'm going to go bet some more on them. Or plus one, I guess it's plus 140. I'm going to go bet some more on them. I'm feeling good about it. I got you call them rose-colored glasses. They're green, baby. I've never really been a Celtics fan, but I'm enjoying watching them work this year.
This is going to be one of those series where when it's over, you're going to hate them for the rest of your life because how they're going to screw you coming up. You're going to hate them.
I don't know, man.
I
got them 11-1.
You'll never bet on Boston ever again because they're going to do something that's really just going to tick you off, and it's going to ruin your futures betting. You have heartbreak in your future, Zach Ewing.
All right. Well, listen, I have an 11-1 bet on them just to win the Eastern Conference. So I figure if I cash that, I can free roll whatever I would win.
You got a good chance to win that.
So let's do it. Celtics Heat finishing. Well, they may not finish up tomorrow night. They may not. I got to catch myself there. The Celtics can finish it tomorrow night, just like the Warriors can finish their series tonight. So by the time we meet on Monday, Bayou Bets, Spencer, the Guru, and myself for a Memorial Day edition of Bayou Bets, we may have an NBA Finals series to talk about, Spencer. We probably will. The only way we won't at that point is if Dallas and Golden State are playing Game 7 that night. Because Boston and Miami Game 7 would be Sunday night. So, yeah, we'll be able to talk about it. 4 p.m. Monday, join us. And whoops, that's not the right slide. Beat the Pros is going on. You can play against Rod Walker, but your first bet insured up to $1,100 at NOLA.com/Caesars if you'd like to join the fun. And until then, this has been At the Book for May the 26th. I thought somebody else was putting up a slide there for a second. For Spencer the Guru, Jim Derry, and Devin Jackson, I'm Zach Ewing. Have a good day, everybody.